I want better. Whoa. Yeah, I just saw that. That's a lot closer than the last one. Okay. Oh, God. Wow. See? Yikes. Yeah.
I'm ready to roll.
Okay, Frankie's ready to roll. Let's go.
Well, whether it's hot, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, Frankie's got the weather we got. Wait a minute. Well, whether it's cold, whether it's hot, Frankie's got the weather, whether or not. There it is.
Hello, Prince George at C4 88.7 FM. Hello, listeners at CUKUW 95.9 FM Winnipeg. Hello to listeners at CFBX Kamloops 92.5 FM and to Rogers Television viewers in the Vancouver Island viewing region. This is the Comedeorological Report. I am Joey Only, your host, up here in Wells, British Columbia. No, I am not evacuated. Yeah, we do have some fires very close to town here, and maybe I'll talk more about that later on in the show. But I'm here with a wide panel of comedians and meteorologists and storm chasers and weather experts from across Canada. We do. We actually have of the man himself who's always here. He's the world's best weatherman. Frankie McDonald will be talking to him first off the top of the show very, very soon. Storm chaser Hank Vliestra is live on the chase right now out in Saskatchewan, so we'll be checking in with him in a little bit. As always, we got Brandon Hauk, the weather specialist in Brooks, Alberta, with us, and the radio weatherman. He's the morning guy at the Brooks radio station there, big country. Mark Ingalls, meteorologist Mark Ingalls is with us. He's down in Surrey, British Columbia, looking at all things going on. Hilding Donaldson, the cowboy, he also is back after a few weeks of being at festivals and things like that and haying. And I do think that Michael McGregor is sitting there in the background too, somewhere from the Weather Center of Manitoba, to talk about Manitoba.
Frankie, the weatherman. Frankie, the weatherman. Who?
Frankie!
Who?
Frankie!
Ladies and gentlemen, Frankie!
Well, this is your show about how much the weather sucks. Let's go. Hey, Frankie McDonald, how you doing so far, buddy?
Doing great till we're hot and humid weather and lots of thunderstorms in the forecast going to continue in Nova Scotia and eastern United States of America. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the Rib Fest, and lots of rain and thunderstorms going on in eastern United States. Washington, D.C., Baltimore, and all those places where we got brief, cooler weather, but humid in Ontario and things like this right now. Then it's going to turn humid again in Ontario. It's going to be humid all across out west and really dry out west, and that's going to cause a lot of fires. It's going to be hot weather in Vancouver, Victoria, and all these places as well. And the next week, hot and humid is going to continue all across North America, except for Manitoba next week. Really hot weather returning to Vancouver, British Columbia later on the week. It's going to get really, really hot weather in Greater Vancouver, British Columbia, Victoria, British Columbia, and all those places as well. They got so much sandstorms coming off the coast of Africa, driving all dry, dusty air in the Caribbean right now. Then they got the really, really hot air in California this weekend and next week as well. Lots of thunderstorms going on in Colorado next week, and parts of Utah, Nevada, New Mexico, and all those places as well. And lots of rain and thunderstorms going on in Central America, right? And this weekend coming up in South America, lots of rain and thunderstorms going on in Venezuela, Colombia, parts of Ecuador, and Bolivia, and those places. Peru's drier than normal. In northern Chile, and southern Chile is going to turn rainy in coast areas and snowy up in the mountains in southern Chile. Next week, you got really cold air coming from the south, heading towards Argentina late next week as well. May even bring some showers and rain in far southern Brazil right now. Extremely hot in the Amazon rainforest right now in southern hemisphere winter. And weather all across Europe. They got cooler temperatures in England right now. And lots of rain in the forecast in France. The Olympics starts 2 weeks from tomorrow. Lots of rain, thunderstorms, lots of rain going on in Norway, Finland, Sweden, and from Denmark and Netherlands this weekend coming, including Germany, Bosnia, Croatia, and all these places, and Finland and parts of Russia, and all those places. Extremely hot in Morocco, Algeria, Libya, Egypt as well. So much sandstorms going on this time of the year. Up in Turkey, down in Turkey. It's really hot in Turkey right now. And weather all across Japan. Lots of rain in Japan right now. Lots of rain going on in China. there's a possible typhoons heading towards Vietnam next week. Late next week, possible. And Korea may get hit by typhoons too far off yet in the end of July. Lots of rain, thunderstorms going off the coast of Japan, including some thunderstorms and really hot temperatures in Siberia and Mongolia and China, Vietnam, Laos, Philippines, and Indonesia, and Cambodia, Thailand, all those places. Lots of rain, thunderstorms going on right now. And even Indonesia, over in Indian Ocean, lots of rain, thunderstorms going on in India right now. And Bangladesh and Myanmar and all those places right now. Some South Sudan and Ethiopia, lots of thunderstorms and rain going on in Ethiopia right now. And there's a lots of thunderstorms coming off the coast of Nigeria and Ghana and all those places right now. And there's so much dry, dusty air coming off the coast of Africa. And weather in southern Africa, lots of cold air and some showers in the forecast in South Coast of South Africa. It's really hot in Botswana, and it's really dry in Botswana and Angola and Namibia, including Mozambique and Madagascar, La Reunion and Mauritius Islands as well. And weather all across Southwest Pacific and Australia. Weather for Australia, lots of showers and cold temperatures in southeastern Australia. Got really cold temperatures aiming towards Sydney, Australia next week as well. Then northern Australia is going to remain hot. In Southwest Pacific, stormy weather going on in North Island, New Zealand next week. It's cold temperatures in South Island, New Zealand. It's still dark for 24 hours a day in Antarctica. It's light for 24 hours up in the Arctic.
Frankie, how many ribs are you going to eat at Sydney Rib Fest?
Quite a few ribs and chicken.
Quite a few ribs and chicken. And you can find Frankie McDonald at the Sydney Rib Fest between this weekend and July 36th.
Uh-huh.
July 56th.
July 56th. Who's got a question for Frankie about chicken, ribs, the world, the universe, weather, or anything?
Yeah, Frankie,
I do.
judging the ribs.
It's like chicken, and it's like your ribs and chicken and things like this.
Do you get to judge the ribs, Brandon's asking?
Chicken and ribs and things like this.
So, exactly. Mike, what do you got for Frankie?
Frankie, are you going to get any mini donuts when you're at the Rib Fest?
And I'm chicken and ribs at the Rib Fest.
Are you going to get any mini donuts? Mini
Hey, so-
donuts?
Chicken and ribs and pulled pork and things like this. And sausages, that's another thing.
Meat?
And sausages is another thing.
I got food with me.
Jingles, do you have a
I got a banana.
That way
I
he
got-
can show how
I
big the
got-
tornado is, the banana for scale.
Carrots in this bag.
The Saffir Simpson
Yogurt.
banana scale.
I got yogurt.
I do have a question
any-
for Frankie.
Yes.
Frankie, what is your favorite barbecue sauce to put on your ribs?
I like the spicy barbecue sauce and original barbecue sauce.
All right.
The original, just like Frankie McDonald, the original.
Hey, Frankie,
And,
what do you think about the earthquakes in BC?
It's shaking and things like this. It's acting up. The fault line's
acting
acting up. People in Vancouver, you can't escape from major earthquakes forever.
I think Mark's got some answers for that later on. Imogen Cookie Bailey has also just joined us. So she's with us as well. So welcome to the show, Imogen,
Imogen.
Aloha.
down there in Victoria, British Columbia. If there's no other questions for Frankie right now, we will come back to Frankie with Frankie videos and whatnot in a little bit. Stick around, Frankie. Stick around, listeners and viewers. Until then, let's go take a look over to the weather specialist himself, Brandon Houck, with the Brandon Houck Report.
Oh, yes.
The Brandon Houck Report.
Oh, hi. This is the Brandon Houck Report.
The good old Brandon Houck report. And, well, we've had some active weather today across parts of Alberta. We're still waiting for the cap to erode, and it's just slowly starting to. We've got new storms developing along the foothills at this time as of 8:10. So we're waiting for 9 o'clock initiation and seeing what happens. If we don't get initiation 9 o'clock, well, nothing's going to happen. But I have a feeling we might get a storm after midnight tonight, and that might wake everybody up. You know, one of those nighttime 2 o'clock a.m. thunderstorms that wakes the whole neighborhood up. Kaboom, kapow, and everybody's messaged me, man, that thunder was loud last night. Well, yeah, of course it was. So and it's been very hot. We yesterday here in Brooks, we broke a record high. Yes, we did. 37.3 degrees. Not only the record high yesterday, but the hottest in all of Alberta yesterday. And the old record was 36.7 back in 1973. So that was a pretty good record to be broken, that's for sure, yesterday in our neck of the woods with the heat. And then you add in the humidity, it felt like 40. And we got up to 36 degrees again today. And with the humidity, it felt like 40. So it's like a sauna in here, pretty much. It's been like that for the last, and our dew points are up today too. So the fuel is definitely there for storms to potentially initiate. But the only problem is, once again, that cap. The fuel's there, but we need the match. And somebody needs to throw that match. And whoo, just like that. So we'll see how it goes in the next couple of hours. If I start running out the door at the end of 9 o'clock here-ish, that means the storm is formed. That's just how you know it happened. So into the rest of the weather story, because the heat here in southern Alberta will likely going to continue into next week. So we'll see temperatures not as hot, but low 30s, mid 20s for the next couple of days, and then back to the low 30s for the weekend here. Very nice if you like 30-degree temperatures. Now, probably by the time we get in next week, I'll be so used to 30 degrees. It'll feel like a very nice day all of a sudden since last year when we've been very hot. So we are at risk for thunderstorms again. So if we don't get a thunderstorm tonight, we have a better shot at thunderstorms, especially early Saturday morning. We've got a pretty good line of storms that are going to be developing from Red Deer down to Medicine Hat, sweeping through, and some of those storms could be strong. And these are also going to be early morning storms. So I'm going to say like 6 to 8 o'clock in the morning. It's showtime for our area once again, Saturday morning. And then we have a chance of more instability later in the day as well. And that severe weather trend is going to continue into the eastern prairies as we go through the weekend as well. And then not only that, but we could potentially be dealing with, once again, more thunderstorms on Sunday. Another round of strong, maybe a few isolated severe thunderstorms Sunday as well, with temperatures back into the 30s. And then we take a little bit of a break into early next week, and then we get more storms later on in the week there.
Hang on there, Brandon.
Yes.
Check out this crop duster. He's crop dusting right now, coming right at us with a storm in the background. Look at this. He's flying really low over the crop here with a big old self cloud behind him. I can't believe he's working in this, you know?
Wow. He's gonna buzz you.
He's got to get that done before the storm rolls in.
I guess. Holy moly. He's trying hard.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
You know, those guys, when they travel around, they have to bring their fuel with them. They have to have a fuel truck.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they travel around, and it's not just the plane, but a fuel truck too. They have to bring their own fuel around with them.
Oh,
big,
usually
big
here
job.
in Brooks, they go back to the airport, I've noticed, and they go fuel up, I think. What they do around here. That's what they do around here. So.
Yeah, you know, down here where we have towns.
I guess. Yeah, that works too. That works too.
Do you make sure if anything changes in that storm that you do just interrupt us, Hank, because we do want to see what's going on there. That's a very interesting storm you're on right now, just on the Saskatchewan side of the border from Alberta side. We also just had Justin Ortel show up from Weather Center Manitoba, so we got a full complement now tonight. We got everybody. You want any last words there, Brandon Hauk?
Yeah, so I guess astronomers discovered a distant planet that smells like rotten eggs, so they've decided to name it New Jersey. So there you go. Those are my last words.
Thanks, Brandon.
I found it. Olivier's down in Brazil.
Does it smell like sulfur dioxide down there? Is that what Brazil is like? Is that what made you think of it?
He's near the Argentina border.
He's probably having an adventure, knowing him. He is an
Where all the cows are in Oklahoma, where sulfur dioxide comes out of them.
Too bad we don't have Olivier showing up from some mountaintop down there. So we got a lot of people to get through. Meteorologist Mark Ingalls, I want to ask you quickly about nighttime initiation of thunderstorms. And part of me was wondering the other night, because it took so long for our thunderstorm to show anything here in Wells. And then it was just like by 7 o'clock, suddenly boom. And then when it started developing, it took right off. And I just wondered, like, did the air just need to cool a little bit for vapor to condense? Like, what was going on there? Why did it take all day for that to just suddenly pop up out of the blue and not during the key hours you'd expect?
Well, I haven't looked, so you're kind of putting me on the spot. But my guess would be that's the end of the daytime heating, and so as the sun sets, you're heating up those west slopes of the mountains, and that causes the air to rise more efficiently there. So the best time to initiate those thunderstorms on the west slopes of mountains is going to be in the later afternoon into early evening, kind of just before sunset. Because even though if you're like down in Prince George or whatever, you're starting to cool off by that time, those slopes are pointed right directly at the sun. And so that's heating up and causing that lift. There may have also been a sort of a cap. And when we talk about a cap, we're talking about an area, just for the radio listeners. I know you know this, Joey. When we talk about a cap, we're talking about an area of warmer air up above. And we need cold air above to lift the moisture up to create clouds. So you get the warm air coming off the slope. You heat up the ground on the slope. That heats up the air right against it, lifts it up, bursts the cap. And so that's why you'd get 7 p.m. thunderstorms, I think. And that's just like very general. I didn't look specifically at this event, but that would be my guess.
That would maybe explain actually why I've seen this pattern a couple times over the years on some of these very, very hot days. And then the way it exploded up the mountain range too. It didn't travel the direction you'd expect things to travel, where the prevailing things were. It developed up the range and then sort of took off.
Right. Well, in these kinds of storms late in the day, these would probably be pretty terrain based, I would expect, because your heat area is very limited to right on that slope. And so it would be based on the terrain and really struggle to stay alive if it moved off the mountains at all.
That's excellent. Very interesting. Thank you. Meteorologist Mark Ingalls, what do you got for us this week?
Yeah, so we had quite the heat wave here in the lower mainland, and I was glad I wasn't in Portland where the temperature hit something like 40 degrees, and it was pretty humid. Here we hit 29, I'm pretty sure, and I don't have air conditioning, so when we cooled off the other night, when we got that sea breeze coming up the strait and into Surrey, that was really nice. There have been a lot of earthquakes off Vancouver Island, and we've already talked about that a little bit. So what we've got going on is the thing that people always ask when there's an earthquake off the Pacific coast is it gonna be the Cascadia big one? People, especially not in BC, may not know, but we do have a risk of a large like 9.0 earthquake or similar like Japan had in 2011. And so that's always on people's minds when there's an earthquake offshore, and there have been several off Vancouver Island, but these are actually further out than that risk area is. So that risk is where the ocean plate is diving under the North American plate, and where these earthquakes are happening are where two ocean plates are splitting apart. So this does not generate as big of earthquakes. This is where we're creating new ocean floor. In this area specifically, it's west of Tofino, and this area specifically is very active with earthquakes in general. There was a 6.4 earthquake earlier today. We're recording this on Thursday, July 11th. So there was a 6.4 earlier today that may have been felt in Tofino. I'm not really sure. But
people there said no.
People there said no? Okay.
On the weather group, yeah.
So anyway, this was like 200 kilometers offshore anyway. 6.4, and that is pretty big for this region, but this is the 7th magnitude 6 or higher earthquake right in that area since 2010. So like, it's not unheard of. We've had literally thousands of earthquakes along this spreading ridge from British Columbia down to Northern California in the last 15 years, and none of them have triggered the big one. And I don't want to water down the threat from the big one. This is going to be a big problem when it happens, but nobody can predict when it's going to happen. And these earthquakes offshore do not trigger it. In the very least, they are not a major trigger for it. So if you're on the coast and you're visiting and you're wondering if you're going to have to run from a tsunami, like if you feel a big earthquake, because coincidences do happen and nobody can predict it. If you feel a big earthquake, then yeah, you go uphill. But if you just look on your phone and it says there was an earthquake 200 kilometers away and you didn't feel it, you're probably okay. Of course, if you're sirens, that's a different story, and you use common sense. Brandon Houck talked about the prairies being active. There's an atmospheric river for the eastern U.S. on Sunday. That system tried to become a tropical depression, but just couldn't do it. But there's going to be quite a bit of rain still. So it's been rainy in the eastern U.S. and eastern Canada because of the remnants of Hurricane Beryl. And it's going to be rainy from a new system, especially on Sunday. The southwest U.S. monsoon may be kicking up here in the next week and a half or so. As we set up a upper level ridge to heat up the Rockies, and then that heat pulls the moisture off the Pacific Ocean, and we may get a little bit of that moisture up into the BC interior for some thunderstorm activity. And the concern, of course, would be dry thunderstorms. But this is a ways out, and there's not a lot of confidence in that forecast. But it's just something to watch out for. And then Joey, if you want to queue up if you have my road rage video handy.
Oh yeah, give me 1 second here.
Yeah, so I'll finish up with the weather, and then we can do that. So there's a lot of thunderstorms probably going to happen, especially in the Four Corners region of the U.S. And then I also want to turn back to the tropics. The tropics are getting pretty quiet. Frankie, of course, talked about the dry air and the dust coming off the Sahara. There's also a lot of wind shear. Wind shear is a change in wind speed and direction as you go up. And we don't want wind shear if you want to generate hurricanes. Of course, you don't want to generate hurricanes, but we're talking about the royal we, right? So that's going to inhibit tropical cyclone growth probably for at least the next 3 weeks. A small one here or there may form because the ocean is just so hot. But big hurricanes, long-lasting storms like Hurricane Beryl, we're not expecting. But northern Mexico got hit by tropical storm Alberto.
There's so much dry, dusty air coming out away from the Sahara Desert.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. Tropical storm Alberto hit northern Mexico. Tropical storm Chris hit northern Mexico, and so it's raining.
And did you hear about this? Libya, Egypt, Algeria, Morocco, and Sudan? They're in the stormy season right now.
Yes. So we have the video here, and I'll have to describe it for the radio viewers, but we're on 32nd Avenue in Surrey, and it's a divided 2-lane road each directions, and this guy in a black SUV stopped in front of a semi. Both of them were out shouting at each other at one point, but the truck driver got back in his truck. Dude's wearing a red shirt, and the truck goes around him on the median, and this guy is like trying to push against the truck like he's gonna stop him for some reason. Like, what an idiot. Like, even if I didn't see the beginning of this, but even if this is the trucker's fault, like, you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win in an SUV. You're not gonna win if you're just standing out there in the middle of the road. Like you've seen Star Trek, dudes in red shirts die. And this is how you do it. Like, what an idiot. I just couldn't. Like, this is the first time I've seen something like this. Of course, I've seen videos of it, but man, what an idiot. And then, so we have a lot of wildfires burning in British Columbia. Thankfully, none close to me. But I have actually brought tonight a special guest to talk about the wildfires. Brandon Houck, are you ready to meet my special guest?
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, special guest tonight is wildland firefighter. Oh, wait, no. Amateur fire or volunteer firefighter and amateur weatherman, Joey Only. Welcome to the show, Joey.
Firefighter.
I saw that they called you that on the radio earlier today.
I have been that, I guess. I don't think they put that on the CBC News though. I think they edited that part out because I was kind of. He's like an amateur weatherman. I was like, I'm not very amateur. I'm the only one who predicted that storm that started all these fires here. Yes, we do have.
Wait a minute. I was on that news back in 2013.
Frankie on the news, 2013. We have a number of wildfires burning in the Wells area right now, for sure.
That's before Facebook censored all that stuff.
That's right.
Yes.
And so we do have an evac alert on for Wells. There's some mine properties that have an evacuation order on for sure. So the wildfire. There was a thunderstorm that kicked off that I alluded to earlier, and I was the only one who seemed to be predicting it. But I'd seen the setup before. I felt it as like, it's going to do what it did on these times, and it did exactly what it did those times, right? So, but this time it lit a lot of fires, more than I think we've ever really seen and to wake up the next day and see that many fires having that much aggressive fire activity. So it was quite alarming that way. Some of those mine properties do have to be evacuated and have been. Of course, the fire is only a couple kilometers from Wells over top of Cornish Mountain right there, but the prevailing winds will keep it supposedly moving that way. Wildfire Service has been hitting it with bombers. We had the heavy duties yesterday, the Electra, hitting it with a number of attack runs. We had the air tractor show up for a little bit limited time this morning, and conditions seem to have improved. But we're a community at the end of the road, and we get a lot of tourism coming through here and this and that, and we have limited resources. So, and there's a lot of summer left, and there's a lot of work to be done on all these fires, right? So. It's absolutely the right call from the district to have made that. I do have a couple quotes here, actually, that I'll share with you that I share with the other media outlets I was on today. So Brendan Bailey, the fire chief, him and I were talking today, and his quote that he sent for me to share is, "At this time, we're just incredibly grateful to British Columbia Wildfire Service for their rapid and thorough support." So that Brendan, he's seen a couple fires kick off, but they seem to burn themselves out. So we got lucky here, actually, for how many fires lit up, that they all are northeast or farther south of us. There's none on this west flank of town, which is between we have a mountain here and a mountain here, and then we got a bunch of forest that way. There's key areas that we don't want to see fires in this town, especially, right? So the mayor, Ed Coleman, him and I spoke this afternoon, and Mayor Ed Coleman tells me all provincial resources are full on. At this time, there are no gaps. The province has stepped up, and supporting agencies, they've stepped up wonderfully. So that's the feeling in Wells right now.
I do want to ask you about the wildfire situation up north of Fort St. John, because that is, I was looking at the map on the BC Wildfire Service, and it is like you could go 200 kilometers almost and be within a fire perimeter the entire way if you pick the right line.
Yeah, the entire Northeast is in real trouble that way. I mean, it's going through in some ways, a natural burn cycle that's going to have to go through. Whether that's climate change induced or not, I don't know, but that's a different discussion. But it's a lot of it's remote, and it's like how much resources can we afford to go up there, to feed people, to put crews up there to have meaningful impact on a fire like that, right? That's the thing. It's like
I've never been up there, but is that kind of like the taiga type forest where the trees are smaller and they're more spread out and there's a lot more like grass on the ground?
No, I would call it boreal forest.
Yeah, right. I forget that's what the Canadians called it. Right. Yeah. So that is, of course, we always have big wildfires in a lot of Canada every year. This is what happens when most of the country is covered by woods, but it's just these are big wildfires, and of course, you having them there close to Wells, it was nice that you had them, like you said, north and east and south, not west of you, where they would have been blown into town.
Yeah, and we could have had roads cut off, and we could have woke up to a situation today where new fires had popped up in some of those places, right? And that hasn't happened. So,
well, I'm talking about
very positive that way. I'm going to cut myself short here in a second,
okay.
But I just want to add that I've had a theory for quite a while that British Columbia is going to try to become like Oregon, and Oregon's going to become like California. And that's what the nature of climate change will be. And now I've kind of amended that to understand that the boreal forest as well has a forest type that is no longer in line with the climate that's going on there, and the only way that the environment can deal with that is to burn it off.
And city of Calgary could be like Colorado.
Hey, I'll give you an update, Joey.
Yes, Hank Vliestra out in Saskatchewan.
Here's the incoming shelf cloud, and I can't linger for long because I want to get in position to cross the river. The river is key for a storm chaser in Saskatchewan. You have to anticipate whether you need to cross it or not because there's not very many crossings. Anyway, I'll flip this around and zoom in. There's that shelf cloud, and it's coming at me. And I called it right. It did form a shelf. And the south end looks like it's losing steam. That's what's left of south end. What's the Macklin storm over there? This is going to keep moving across Saskatchewan in an easterly direction, especially on the north side of the river, I think. So I'm gonna get onto the north side of the river also.
It's a beautiful storm sunset too.
It's coming right for you, Hank. Okay, we'll check back in with us in a minute after you cross the Battleford River, is that?
It is the North Saskatchewan River.
North Saskatchewan River. Oh, okay, well, let's go a little bit further east of you. And we haven't talked to, we got Justin and Mike from Mother Center, Manitoba. So maybe we'll just kind of put the both of you sort of in together and let's talk about Manitoba weather. Justin, do you want to go first?
There we go. Unmuted. That's probably blurry.
The phone's kind of blurry.
How do I unblur that now?
Just in. It's blurry in Brandon, Manitoba.
Tonight on Boomers with iPhones.
You can see in the distance, maybe, we got a little thunderstorm, kind of an anvil that's going up over here where my finger's pointing. There's some weak storms along the Saskatchewan-Manitoba border moving towards me and Brandon. We'll see what they do through the evening. There is pretty strong cap in place, and it's been warm, and it's been very humid all day, and it seems to be getting even more humid out here right now. It's probably around 80%. But it's weird. It almost feels a little cool, like there's a little bit of a breeze, and although it's just about 30 degrees and really humid, it almost feels chilly, if that makes sense. Tomorrow, we're looking ahead to a pretty severe day here across southern areas of the province. I'm looking to probably chase north of Brandon tomorrow in the evening. Looks like maybe 4,500 Cape. And some of the soundings have been putting out some pretty impressive numbers. So we'll have to see what happens tomorrow. I'm a little worried about Hank's overnight storm as it continues to push across his province and enters western Manitoba overnight and tomorrow morning. May cause an outflow boundary and may kind of mess up with our severe weather setup tomorrow. But we'll have to wait and see how strong the storms are when they reach Manitoba tomorrow morning. In terms of storms, we haven't really had a lot lately. There's been quite a few little popcorn cells that have popped up, and the storm motion hasn't been very fast. So they've popped up and kind of sat over a certain period of time, dropping an inch or two of rain, half an hour to an hour. That's kind of what we've been dealing with because we haven't really had that big load to really move the storms along. They've just been popping up with the high Cape values and with the heating we've been having through the day. But that's kind of the update I have for you right now.
Excellent. We'll go just a little further east and then we'll talk to Mike too. And then maybe we'll talk to both of you together.
Okay. Hey guys, so I'm just gonna put my laptop. I got some towering cumulus off to my west here in North Winnipeg.
Is that some altocumulus flocus or something you got going on there?
Yeah, it looks like a couple altocumulus clouds. It's really humid out in Winnipeg. Sorry, I'm a little scruffy. I haven't shaved. You guys can cut that out if you want. So I have something written out here. Just gonna get it up. Heat and humidity we had over the last couple days. We've had some pop-up showers and thunderstorms during the last couple weeks. It's been more summer-like. Today it got up to about 31 here in Winnipeg. It felt more like 40. Close to that with the humidity. I've been surprised by a couple of pop-up storms over the last couple weeks. And actually got hit by an outflow boundary, a gust front, last week. I got a video of it. I sent it to you.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to put that on, but we've been getting storms that pop up out of nowhere. There was one that last week that popped up right over St. James. We had some hail reported at my parents' place. My dad sent me a video of it. He had about nickel-sized hail in his backyard. For tomorrow, I think there's going to be initial risk of some supercell thunderstorms in western Manitoba. I looked over the latest NamNest. It shows the supercell forming off to the west, and then a huge squall line centering over the central Red River Valley. I've already looked at it, and it looks like it's missing out on the supercells to the west. Instead, it blows up a huge squall right over the Inner Lake, right down into the southern Red River Valley, moving south. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Looks like we could have some golf ball size hail, potentially up to baseball, depending on the setup, and tornadoes I don't know. What do you think about tornado threat, Justin?
Well, yeah, I think if the second kind of if it plays out the second way that you had said that they may play out, I don't think we're going to have as high of a risk of them, because usually with the squall line is like damaging winds and lots of rain, and large hail is the main threats. But if they stay kind of by themselves for a little bit before they form into the big squall line, then that's when we'll have the chance to see some of them.
Yeah, and I also kind of see some cooler weather heading into next week. Highs of only 18 and 20 in Winnipeg. And then more heat coming in later for the later half of the week. But it looks like a lot of the weather that they're getting in the West, we're going to get here. I'm a bit nervous because we've had some big storms in Winnipeg and some tree branches already been down. I hope you get something out there, man.
Yeah, I hope to be out chasing tomorrow. So definitely let everybody know what happens.
She's pretty green there. I'm going to come all the way back west again. Go all the way back to the west coast. Now that we've traveled through to the east. Imogen Cookie Bailey, how hot did it get in Victoria this week? How are things going? How's the art farm? How is you?
Glorious as always, doing all sorts of insane things, one after the other, with absolutely no warning or heads up to anyone. So that's about my week. I think it got up to about 35 this week. So that was super cool, and we're expecting it to be around there this week as well. So yay, perfect day to hop into the dunk tank. So that's what's going on Saturday. Art Farm anniversary party, dunk tank, huge concert. Lots of people are going to be coming out, and we're going to actually, we're really stoked that the Q radio station is going to be broadcasting from our party from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. So terrorize some DJs, politely though. Don't get yourself kicked out, but still. So yeah, dunk tank weather all week coming up. That's my week.
All right, we look forward to your dunk
I have
tank
a question
videos.
for Imogen.
Yes.
I noticed that you had cat ears on first. Did you change those because you didn't like the black on black?
Well, I changed them because they weren't quite pointy enough. They didn't have the right angle of point, so I changed them out.
You heard it here first, guys. Imogen needs a specific angle with a specific point.
Oh yeah, they've got to have the right sharpness. My little ears for different occasions, depending on what I'm doing, it's got to be the right ears with the right sharpness. Most of my bunny ears have one up and then one down on the right angle, but it's got to be the specific. There's an equation to it, man. It's not just, scattershot insanity. There's a method.
I'm just envisioning the meme where it's the guy from, what is that show, The Mentalist or whatever, where he's got all these points and pictures on his board and is like trying to explain everything, his conspiracy theory. That's what this sounds like to me.
Yep. I get it.
Well, what's handy is when you have ears like that, you can use them to point at the board.
You got to point
at two things at once.
If you have multiple things to point at, then you change the ears.
Exactly. They have a purpose. They're functional as well as fashionable.
Hilding Donaldson, were you at Midsummer Music Festival or something in Smithers? Where were you at this weekend? You've been out and about. Cowboy Hilding Donaldson up in Grassy Plains. How goes the farm? How goes haying? And how goes you? Also, how goes haying and farming? How was the weather up there this week?
Well, last week we had pretty much our final rain last Wednesday, and then it got really warm on Thursday, and I talked to the boss, and he said, well, get the hay mower ready to go and then take off, go to the music festival, because they want 3 or 4 days of warm weather to make the hay grow. And this is what usually happens. If you have a month of fairly wet weather, the hay will grow lush, but it won't head out, it won't continue maturing, and then you have 3 or 4 days of hot weather, it'll grow like 6 inches and mature. But we had a strange one happen. About half of our fields did that. The other half of the fields started turning brown and curling over, actually. So just in 4 days of hot weather, the leaves on the hay were already starting to dry up, even though it hadn't headed yet. That tells you how dry the soil underneath is. 4 days of hot weather, and it starts curling already. So that was kind of interesting because after having a full month of fairly good rain, we thought that, well, we weren't going to show a bunch of that type of drought in our hay this year. And then it turned up it is. It's actually showing that there's still drought from last year's drought. There's still residual drought. That's kind of an interesting thing to notice. We got about 10 rounds around the outside of every field done, and we got about 2 30-acre fields that are all mowed, and then we're ready to start baling probably. We might start baling tomorrow. We'll have to see. And we got some good wind today, but it wasn't as warm. It was only up to maybe 20 today. But over the weekend, well, I was up at Smithers and it was up to 36 at the music festival. They said it was the hottest it's been at a music festival. And yeah, so that's kind of what things are doing around here right now.
Well, it's a pretty interesting observation you make that it took that quickly for things to start hitting that critical drawing point. You know, it's a very interesting observation. And, you know, and I think people have really had it in their mind like, well, it's rained so much. And it's like, well, yeah, it's good. It's good that it's rained. It's bought us a lot of time. And, you know, I think the drought will end this year, but, you know, it's going to get a little worse now before it gets better.
Well,
the heat of the summer, that's what's going to happen.
The thing is, we had no snow, so there is no underneath moisture down at the bottom. There was no moisture that soaked into the ground before this stuff started growing. So that means that there's no reserve moisture there when we get hot sun. It uses up what moisture's in the plant and it starts to dry out.
No snow. There was also no snow in the mountains, so there's no water coming off in the creeks, and that's not entering the groundwater system either.
Yeah, it's interesting because I had a pretty big storm. It was a few weeks ago now, and it dropped lots of rain in an area. And the very next day, we had very strong winds gusting to 80 kilometers an hour, and there was a dust storm south of Brandon, Manitoba. I was in that dust storm, and you couldn't see 100 meters in front of you. I couldn't believe that the dust would blow that much after we had just a heavy thunderstorm less than 12 hours before then. It's pretty crazy, but it doesn't take a lot for that topsoil to dry out, especially with the sunshine and then wind on top. So that's a good point to bring up.
Sorry, I had something similar happen in Winnipeg. A whole bunch of, I know that the city, we don't get a lot of dust, but normally like that dust sometimes blows in. And that same dust event that Justin was talking about, we had some blowing dust you could see off in the distance. It was all hazy. It's incredible how fast all of that moisture just dries out of the soil.
Well, it was like you could watch it when it was raining, and you could watch the soil get damp, and then the rain would slow down, and even before it had stopped raining, it was like there's no moisture in the surface of the soil anymore. It's all just disappearing as fast as it hits the ground.
Hank Fleister, you're back. What do you got, bud?
Look at this. Check it out.
Oh, that's an
I haven't
incredible
moved.
shelf cloud.
I'm still in the same spot I was last time. I couldn't stop taking pictures. I can't even zoom out. This is full wide. So it's right on top of me now, basically. So I really need to get moving, but I wanted to show you first, after taking all these photos, what it looks like. Isn't that something?
Sounds like you got some undulatus asperatus going on underneath it.
Yeah.
It's kind of going all wavy.
Well, that's the whale's mouth. It's similar.
Awesome.
It's not quite the same thing, but it's awesome. And I wish I was pointing this way a second ago because there was lightning. But I got to get going.
Maybe we'll catch you in a second then when you're in the next spot.
Hey, Justin, I'm noticing that a lot of the clouds that are trying to go up here, within about 5 minutes, you could see the top peter off, and wondering is that the cap that's in place?
It's the cap, and we don't have the low pressure system here yet until it moves in overnight and into tomorrow. So they'll try and go up, and then they'll peter out pretty quick.
And just check out some of the lightning that was going on that night. What do you got to say for yourself? Come on. And I got a positive strike on film coming up here. Oh, that's all? Just look I've never, what you got? That I know of, filmed a positive strike. Holy, that's terrifying. Let's hear what you got to say. It is a clear ground upper. Here's downtown Wells, BC. And we will have to edit. Lightning flashing above.
That means how hot is it in Wells, British Columbia?
There it is. That was incredible. Nailed it. Look at that one.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be Rogers approved, eh?
No, we'll. I'll mute that section. Wowzers! Fantastic. Unbelievable lightning that night. Just non-stop. I think I'm coming to the end of the show as for where I can check a few of these last ones out. That was a bolt. Holy was it ever. That was a bolt. Yeah, that was a good one. Here it is.
That's awesome.
That was a good one, yeah. Got any more for me? It was non-stop. I want non-stop. Whoa.
At that nocturnal. That's
yeah, I just saw that.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a lot closer than the last one. So you can imagine after that, after hundreds of those, not stopping, that we still not giving up. Actually got off pretty lucky here in Wells. Still not stopping. That our fire is on that side. Yikes. Yeah. That was a little close. Yes, anyways, that's just a sample of some of the violence that was going on here in Wells the other night. Like I say, it was several hours of nonstop. And the way it came in, it was fantastic. And it was just like Mark said, it must have been the mountainsides cooking up that west flank. And it went from zero to hero to supercellular. I had Joshua Palmer was messaging me, you know, it's minus 47 Celsius at the cloud top, still at 10:30, freaking out, you know. And we got obviously one over here. Brand new fire starts. And just a little black smoke in there. But it has started to make a pyrocumulus. Multiple fires so all around Wells. And I think that little bit of black smoke is going to pick up, and we're probably going to see that fire do something this afternoon. So pretty interesting. And there's a lot of gold mining stuff out in that neighborhood. I'm not sure exactly what the fire is. Things are pretty subdued today compared to yesterday. Take anything I say as actual information. That's for BC Wildfire to distribute. And if you have claims back there, I'm sure you already know. You got that fire kicking up now. That's actually in the direction of Wells. That must be the one that those air tankers were looking at. And it seems to have picked up some energy, because I wasn't seeing smoke that way earlier when we first left on our drive. And out towards Bower Park, it's incredibly smoky. We got that other fire over there. It seems to have grown. It's got its own pyrocumulus head. So there's fires in every direction. Every direction we got new fire starts here in Wells, including this one that seems maybe a little uncomfortably close to town. But that's looking out towards the mountain behind. The next one over, the taller one, is Casa Mountain. So that's right near Sandy Lake in Bower Park. It doesn't look too big. And here's some of the smoke coming over from above us, from the other side of Two Sisters Mountain here, wherever that fire is. And we're gonna go have a look at that one too, I think, on our way home. And an unexpected thing that's happening here, I mean, besides our fire out there, the total bank of smoke that's now enveloping the Caribou Mountains. Where I live? Like I say, I've never seen anything quite like that. I've never seen the Caribou Mountains themselves be the source. This region be the source of that much smoke this quickly from one lightning storm. See the bird dogs flying. Maybe we'll get lucky and get the heavy bomber to come through here in a minute. That's the one that's Cornish Mountain Fire. That is fairly close to Wells, man. And it picked up after that. There's fire in every direction from here. Blew up for a couple hours. There was a big column here yesterday, like yesterday afternoon. He's flying around. Means the heavy bomber is not too far away. They're gonna do everything they can to stomp that one close to town as fast as we can. I'm gonna hit it with everything. The other ones, I don't know. We'll see. They have been.
Then I got one of my videos about the remnants of barrel striking Ontario.
Yeah, why don't we put that on, Frankie? I do have that.
Yes. This is Frankie McDowell, my own TV station, live from Sydney, Nova Scotia. Remnants of Tropical Storm Barrels headed towards southern Ontario Wednesday, July 10th, 2024. It's going to bring a lot of rain. Winds are going to be very strong, especially in Toronto, Ontario. including Hamilton, Ontario, Mississauga, Oakville, Burlington, and Hamilton, St. Catharines. Niagara Falls, including Guelph, Brantford, and Paris, and Woodstock, and Stratford, including Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, and Owen Sound, and Guybridge, and London, St. Thomas, and Tillsburg, Chatham, Sarnia, and Windsor, Ontario, and Peterborough, and Kingston, and Cornwall, and Ottawa. It's going to bring a lot of rain. Winds are going to be really strong, including Buffalo, New York, USA, and Detroit, USA. It's going to bring really strong winds in Sarnia, Ontario, with heavy downpours that could cause storms to back up the streets in southern Ontario, especially in Toronto and the surrounding areas, including Kingston, Ontario, Ottawa, Cornwall, Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge. Is going to bring a whole lot of rain in southern Ontario, especially Kitchener, London, Guybridge, Sarnia, and Windsor as well. I want everyone to be extra prepared. Make sure if your medical kits, emergency kits like candles ready, and battery operated as well. And extra batteries and bottled water ready as well. Make sure if your rubber boots, raincoats, rain suits ready as well. Make sure to order your pizzas and Chinese food. Buy cases of Pepsi, buy cases of Coke. Make sure to do your grocery shopping. Don't wait till last minute. Do it right now. Make sure if your smartphones, cell phones, laptops, and tablets charge. If your mobile internet ready as well. Make sure to stay away from the beaches and don't go near shores in southern Ontario, especially. Don't walk to the puddles. Avoid the puddles when you go for a walk when you drive a car. Don't drive a car to the puddles in southern Ontario because the remnants of tropical storm is aiming towards southern Ontario on Wednesday, July 10, 2024. I want every single person to be extra prepared. It's going to bring heavy downpours with a lot of rain in southern Ontario, especially in Toronto, Newmarket, and surrounding areas as well. If you have anybody living in southern Ontario, be prepared for remnants of Tropical Storm Barrow on Wednesday, July 10, 2024. Take care, stay safe. Don't get caught in Tropical Storm Barrow.
That was yesterday, Frankie. Did you get your forecast correct?
Yes.
Frankie got his forecast absolutely correct. Well, I think that's coming to the end of the show tonight.
I do have one more question for Frankie, actually.
Yes.
When there's a storm coming for me, what kind of pizza should I get at the store?
Pepperoni and cheese pizza.
Awesome.
You can order right from the pizza shop.
All right.
Well, I noticed he's wearing the same shirt as he was wearing in the video there. Must be his favorite shirt.
One of them.
There's one of them. Yeah, I like that shirt.
About the pizza, if you really want to stormproof your pizza, you need to add pineapple to it. Pineapple will stormproof your pizza and it gives you a little extra protection.
Protection from pointy ear hats.
Protection from a bad storm. It'll keep your windows from getting broken.
Is that because pineapples are from Hawaii and Hawaii gets a lot of hurricanes?
That must be it. Of course, if you're
Pineapple Express means now atmospheric river, all the moisture come all the way from Hawaii to Vancouver in the winter months.
Yeah, that's the kind of pizza I want.
That's funny.
Well, if you don't finish your
and 3 months later, Base Sky shows come back on October the 18th.
By then, we'll be having severe pizza warnings for atmospheric pineapple rivers.
For the Hawaiian Express going through the whole weather systems. But what I was getting at is if you don't really finish your pizza, then you have to kind of go through the neighborhood and put them under people's windshield wipers like parking tickets.
Or if you're here, it's hot enough, you could bake a pizza on top of the car. Just put a pineapple pizza on someone's windshield. Be like, there you go, pineapple pizza for you.
What about the Yeti meat? It's a Russian Yeti meat.
Yeti meat? Like Bigfoot?
Yeah.
So either.
No, the Yeti is the snowman.
Yeah, that's like the that's the Arctic Bigfoot dude.
If you want to follow me on social media, my Blue Sky's at Frankie MacD, my Twitter's at Frankie MacD, my Linktree is Frankie MacDonald, my Facebook is Frankie MacDonald, my Instagram is Frankie MacD94, my TikTok is FrankDon94, my Clapper's FrankDon94, my Twitch is FrankDon84, my Snapchat is FrankMACDON, my YouTube channel is Dogs hosted by Layton's FrankDon. Best of luck to you. I'm FrankDon. You're listening to the Comedeorological Weather Report with Joey only every Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Atlantic.
Yeah, like Tim Huss said, I'm a-going hunting for a Sasquatch. I'm a-gonna get him just a you-watch. Notching that trail and looking for a notch. I'm a-going hunting for the Sasquatch. I'm going hunting for a Sasquatch. All right, I'm Joey Only up here in Wells, British Columbia. Haven't seen no Sasquatches around here. If they're around here, I would have seen it. I've been in the most enough around here to tell you that much.
And he's looking because that's the only girl he can get.
That's probably the best chance I got. I've been looking. So there's the show. That's the show this week. You can always find the live stream, Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude, Thursday nights. 7 p.m. with Frankie and the gang, or you can see us on your local radio station, CFR, CKUW, CFBX, and our television hosts, Rogers Television. Thanks for having us, and that's the show for this week. Thank you. We'll see you next time. I think that's the show, everyone. Is that the show, Frankie? That's the show.
That's the show.
That's the show.
That's the show, everybody. Together. 1, 2, 3.
That's the show.
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 Bye.
Is that it? Are we over?
Oh.
We done?
You know what I did? I never recorded the show.
Oh.
So I'm gonna have to now I'm gonna have to go back and watch the live stream and record the whole live stream.
Oh.
I knew something was
How
missing.
long has it
You can
been
download.
since you...
Hey, Joey, there's another way you can download live stream and edit it.
No, I had to have
Normally,
hit the right. Yeah, well, I'll figure that out. That's the show.
You can download it, they have to edit it.
Usually, that's when I hit record stop, and then we know.
Yeah.
I think it's
Nobody's perfect, Joey.
We were just thrown
the
off by
show.
Frankie being here 2 minutes early.
I'm off my
You'll
game.
know
'cause
better
Frankie
next
was
time.
Oh, no.
I think you need to drink some espresso next time you come on.
I'm
That's
off my
like-
game. It must be all the fame
That's
today.
the show.
I think it's
That's the show.
It's a 4-hour delay.
It's like when you see something amazing and you try to videotape, and you're videotaping the amazing thing, then you realize it's on pause, and then you rewatch the video, and the only part you got is when you're pulling the camera out, and then it goes to pause, and then when you're putting the camera back, it comes back on again.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or when you film your face.
Yeah.
Kind of what we're all now.
Or when you accidentally film your feet.
Hey,
I've done
Joey.
that. I've done that a few times while storm chasing.
I'm on the other side, the north side of the river now. And yeah,
That's
it's
pretty-
awesome.
Nice. It's actually getting better structure, I would say. It was kind of falling apart previously a little bit. It's organizing, I would say.
Maybe.
Nice.
I don't know.
Striations to
It's
it.
got
It
those
looks
nice rings.
shelf cloud to me.
I'm seeing more lightning now.
That's a
That's
sign.
maybe a function of just getting darker, possibly.
Yeah. Man, I was hoping it would
And-
die. Doesn't mess with Manitoba's storm potential tomorrow.
That is the North Saskatchewan River down there.
It's beautiful. Wow.
So are you near
And,
Highgate somewhere right now?
The lightning's more on this end. So I think I'm going to take the highway that goes straight east. I can either take a highway going east, southeast, or a highway going east, because I want to get some lightning pictures tonight. I have the day off tomorrow.
On radar, sure looks like if you stick on the Highway 16, it's like it's
I want to go the
sort of-
the other one that goes straight east, I think. Try that one. It's a little bit more scenic. Like Highway 16, you don't really have much for pullouts and stuff going at high rate of speed. Divided
As long-
highway.
No, what I'm saying is if you go east on it, the highway turns south considerably, and I think you might kind of put yourself out of range. So I wouldn't.
Oh, you're saying
Where's
Highway
the storm?
16 is not the greatest choice.
Yeah, not to go east
Yeah.
on, and
Yeah.
I mean if you're to go a little bit west, you'd be behind the storm at that point.
I don't know if a lot of gravel roads, like Manitoba has a lot of gravel roads that are okay that you could stay ahead of it with too.
I try to avoid them if I can. And
Yeah.
it's okay if I'm ahead of the storm.
And the crazy moon over there. Unbelievably intense lightning show, every direction. How was that for a thunder show, Ian?
Absolutely crazy, wasn't it?
That was something, man.
It's still going.
Oh, it's not. It's wicked out there.
I would actually be kind of concerned.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've been predicting this since Friday.
You got it right on the button.
I did, man.
You did.
And I called it. I said, strongest storm in Canada come into the Caribou.
This is kind of scary.
Yeah.
450 lightning strikes in 20 minutes.
Was that really?
Yeah. That was 20 minutes ago. Look at that. Posted a video too.
Did you? I was set up at the Bowen
All
River.
the times you've predicted something, Joey, that was perfect.
Whoa. That was a bolt. Holy was it ever.